So listen, I've been talking about the how to be miserable exercise, in which people think about how they could reduce their happiness and life satisfaction if, for some unknown reason, that was their goal. Now, I started doing public lectures on this topic a while back, and as part of it, I shamelessly mined my audiences for ideas. Every chair would have a little form on it, inviting them to write down 3 ways that they could make themselves feel worse if, for some bizarre reason, that was their goal. So today, I thought I'd share some of their answers with you. And I think you'll see some themes emerging. There's a surprising amount of repetition in what people say in this exercise, even though people fill in the survey before the talk. So they don't know what I'm going to talk about. They're filling in the same stuff as their neighbor anyway. Okay, so here are some options, or some of the things that they've said. Spend less time with my kids. Not bad. I have a passive-aggressive question I often ask at talks that really, frankly, make people hate me. Who do you pay more attention to? Your kid or your phone? People hate that question. Spend more time watching TV and the internet. That's a great strategy. If you don't want good stuff happening in your real life, don't have one. Stay inside more. Now that one comes up a lot. There's a real theme here. With depressed clients, clinicians often suggest that people adopt the 24-hour rule. And that is that every day you have to get out of the house at least once. Maybe it's just off to the corner store to buy something, whatever. But you have to get out of the house at least once in every 24-hour period. This is not, believe me, the big cure for depression, but it can help. It's a step along the way. Next, make a list of all my failings and shortcomings and pin it on the fridge. This person has really thought about that. That's pretty good. But a lot of people just rehearse the list like they're learning the lines from a play. They just do it over and over and over again in their head. Next, call my mother and hope she's changed. Waiting for people to change their nature is almost always a good way to be disappointed, so that's a pretty good one. Stay at home, not get dressed, order food in all week, and stop taking calls from friends. This person clearly is a cheater. They're packing 4 items into one answer. Spend more time sitting on my butt. Less FaceTime, more screen time. And indeed, there are some bits of data, not great data, but it's out there, suggesting that more screen time is a pretty good way to be less happy with your life. Striving to be happier. This is great. This is a great insight that this person came up with. One way to be miserable is indeed to aim for 24-hour-a-day happiness, because it sets the bar far too high. You are certain to fail, and then, of course, you can call yourself a failure. Decrease the frequency of going outside. There's that 24-hour rule again. Meeting with friends and family. So isolates, no social contact. No physical activity. Getting no exercise, we know, is probably one of the all-time best ways to feel worse. In subsequent videos, I'm going to talk about this a fair bit, but the research is really quite good. Sometimes if people say, what is the one thing you would recommend? If people are only willing to do one thing to deal with their crummy mood, for me, the answer would be exercise. Strangely enough, if they can get themselves to do it. Worry all the time. Dwell on failures in my past. This is also great, and most of us, let's face it, have lots of material to work with. Fuel resentments against injustices. Good. Lots of people are kind of addicted to the news, and we seem to be wired to think something that isn't actually true. We think that if we make ourselves resentful enough, things will change. But of course, they don't. It's not based on what we think about. It's not based on how we feel. They only change if we take action. And with some things, let's face it, not even then. Feel that I have to stay home to clean house and cook meals. In other words, appoint myself slave to the world. That's a good strategy. Do nothing that I like to do or that gives me joy, which is great because this will lower our mood. And then when our mood is lower, many of us become incapable of enjoying anything anyway. So this is part of what we might call a depressive spiral. Listen more to others about what I want instead of myself. Yes, this is good. You don't know what you want. I know what you want. Those are always great people to listen to. Focus on what I don't have and forget totally about what I do have and I'm happy about having. This concept, these people are just inventing psychotherapy here. This is at the core of a lot of cognitive therapy. Most of the time, we are not reacting to the outside world. We're reacting to the little bit of the outside world to which we are paying attention. You know, if we only pay attention to the stuff that's wrong with our lives, and unless you're very lucky indeed, there's always going to be something to focus on, we'll feel, if that's all you're focusing on, we'll feel as if that's all there is. And we'll react emotionally as if that's all there is. Next one, focus on what I cannot do, my limitations. And let's face it, for most of us, the list of what we can't do is way longer than the list of what we can do, so we've got plenty of stuff to work with. Follow what others expect me to do or be and lose or forget about my real self. Conform to society's ideals, not your own, while sitting on the couch and watching TV. Another cheaters trying to stuff more into one item there. Become isolated. There it is again, isolation. Avoid connections with people and stop spending time with family and friends. Another person, stop being healthy. In other words, stop exercising and eating well. And indeed, those two things go hand in hand. Eat crap food, lots of it, and stop exercising. This is a different person saying this, somewhere else in the room. Cut off all communication with friends and family. There's that isolation again. Spend all my money on frippery. What a great word. How often do you hear that? Oh, is this person from the 18th century or something? Anyway, spend all my money on frippery and run up the credit cards to the max. That's a good one. It's strange. Financial stress is often one of the biggest factors in anxiety and depression. Not always, obviously, but often. And we don't talk about it nearly enough in mental health. Never be allowed to sing along to a song again. Well, some of us never have, and for some of us, that's how to protect other people from being miserable, but I do take this person's point. Lose the relationship with my partner. Have to look at the blank page every day that I promised would be a book someday. Believe me, I know that feeling. Work late on a regular basis. Yes, overwork. I've always thought the best people to study this with would be accountants, because they usually get really busy around tax time and they wind up working 12 to 14 hours a day, you know? So you could really look at it. You can see in spring, okay, when they're really busy, how's their mood? And then in the fall, when they're not so busy at all, how's their mood? And really compare them. They'd be the perfect population. You know, sometimes around the clinic, we think, oh, look, it's accountant month at the stress management clinic. Stay in the house on weekends. Isolate again and don't get out much. Take my holidays in pay instead of time. I have to say, I do see people doing this one. They take the payout instead of the time off, but then they burn out and they have to take the time off anyway. Do take breaks. Ruminate more on negative things that I cannot change. These, of course, are the best ones. You know, God knows we don't want to think about problems that we might actually be able to solve. Sit more, do and move less. Yep, good strategy. Be who you think others want you to be and not who you actually want to be. just about every LGBTQ person in all of history has learned this one the hard way. Stop attending night school to achieve my goals. No reading, no lectures, no books, no workshops, no conversations. Yeah, a lot of people feel like they're stagnating a bit, and that can bring them down. A little personal development can work. That said, this person is attending my lecture, so obviously they're a lecture goer. I wonder if they felt the same way when it was done. Stop singing. No choir practice, no concerts to enjoy. There's singing again. It's interesting, a friend of mine is a vocal teacher, and I've always secretly thought that at least some depressed people, not most maybe, but some would benefit from singing lessons as much as from therapy. Again, some, not all. Stop volunteering. No presentations, stop organizing programs, stop serving coffee for the church outreach program. Yeah, absolutely. Caffeinate the needy. Having that sense that you have something to contribute and then actually doing it does seem to be really helpful for a lot of people. Ignore my health. Eat more steak would be a way to feel miserable. This is possibly a vegetarian, I don't know. Drink alcohol every night. This is a great technique practiced by millions. Force self to stay awake as long as you can every night, but then get up at the same time. Yes, when I'm working with someone with depression, trying to get their sleep on track is one of our first priorities. Often anyway. I'll do a series of posts on this at some point. Worry about my adult daughter's recreational, in quotes, drug use. Sounds like she senses that her daughter is becoming a little bit less recreational and a little bit more professional about it. And then a few quickies. Sleep less and work more. Don't contact family and friends. Do not plan anything for the future, even just for tomorrow. Stop spending time outside. Stop exercising. Stop spending time with friends and animals. Well, you can see the themes emerging. What about you? If for some reason you wanted to be more miserable, what would you do? I asked people at these lectures to come up with 3 things. What would do it for you? And you know, you could even add those to the comments section below. And then I can incorporate those and get an easy video out of them. So think about adding them. Go ahead. You can get How to Be Miserable from your local bookseller or from Amazon. The link's below.